All right, so we're going to continue on with writing quadratic equations. So today students will be able to write quadratic functions. Same thing as yesterday, only we're going to do it a different way today. So a quadratic function is anything with that x squared. Quadratic parent function, y equals x squared. Don't forget that. Parabola is the shape of a quadratic function. The x-intercept is where the parabola touches the x-axis, also called the solutions, roots, zeros, and factors. So if you ever need the solutions, roots, zeros, or factors, just look at where it crosses the x-axis. The vertex is the very lowest or the very highest point on the parabola. Axis of symmetry is that line that splits it directly in half. The maximum is like a mountaintop. It has a very highest point. The minimum is like a valley, and it has a very lowest point, the minimum. Quadratic formula. Okay, we've been using that to solve quadratic equations. If the discriminant is greater than 0, you have 2 real solutions. If it's less than 0, you have no real solutions. And if it's equal to 0, you only have 1 real solution. Standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Vertex form, this is what we were using yesterday. Y equals a x minus h squared plus k. H and k, that's the vertex, here and here. X equals h is the axis of symmetry, okay? And we don't need to know completing the square right now. All right, so let's look at the worksheet for today. Okay. So, writing equations using their solutions. So this is when you know the solutions of the equation, okay? So we're going to use this formula for all of the problems. It's very similar to how we did things yesterday. For this example, the solutions are -1 and 3, passing through the point 4, -5, okay? So, write the solutions as factors. For roots x1 and x2, the factors will be x minus x1 and x minus x2. So here's how you're going to write this. First, let's rewrite our equation. Y equals a x minus x1 and x minus x2. Okay? This first one is x1. This second one is x2. Okay? So we're going to rewrite it. Y equals a x minus, what's our x1? -1. Okay, so x minus x1. Then we have x minus x2. What's our x2? It's that 3. Okay? So all we did was we plugged in our x1 and x2. Okay? Put a check mark if you understand it. If not, push pause and ask me to come over to explain it so that you do understand it. Now we're going to rewrite this and make it prettier. So y equals a x, remember, minusing a negative makes a plus. So x plus 1, and then x minus 3. Notice something. Our factors are -1 and 3, and in our equation, it's x plus 1 and x minus 3. It's the opposite. +3, -3. -1, +1. The factors are the opposites. Step 2. Write your function in intercept form. We just did that. So y equals a x plus 1 x minus 3. Okay? Easy enough, right? Now, for number 3, use any other point on the parabola and substitute for x and y. So our x is 4. It's up here. Our x is 4. So x equals 4. And our y is -5. So we're going to rewrite this equation, just replacing those certain things, okay? So our y is -5 equals a, what's our x? X is 4. 4 plus 1, and then do 4 again. 4 minus 1. 4 minus 3, sorry. 4 minus 3. Okay, so now that we've done all that, we've substituted. It wants us to solve the equation for a. Okay, so now we're going to solve the equation for a. Let's rewrite this to make it look prettier. Negative 5 equals a, 4 plus 1, and then 4 minus 3. Okay, now we're going to start solving it. So you have negative 5 equals a, we don't know that yet. What's 4 plus 1? 5. And what's 4 minus 3? 1. Okay, so now we have negative 5 equals a. What's 5 times 1? 5. So we're trying to get a by itself. 5 is being multiplied times a, so we need to divide by 5. This cancels, so we're just left with a. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. Okay, so we found our a. Now, rewrite your function using the values of a, x1, and x2. So a is negative 1. x1 was negative 1. And x2 is 3. Okay, so let's rewrite this. So we have y equals a, which is negative 1, x plus 1, remember, and x minus 3. You can go back and look here if you need to. You're just replacing the a. Okay? Okay, now we're going to multiply through so that your equation is in standard form. So here's how. We use the box again. Okay, because we need to multiply this times this. Okay, so make your box x plus 1, x minus 3. So we have x squared. 1 times x is x. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. So now we have y equals negative 1, x squared. Combine these two. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So minus 2x, and then minus 3. Last step is to distribute. So y equals negative 1 times x squared is negative 1x squared. Negative 1 times negative 2x is positive 2x. And negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. And we are done. Okay? So go back to step 1. Re-watch this while you're solving the problems on the page. And do the best you can. If you need any help, please call me over. Let me help you. It's easy steps. It's just a lot of steps. You can do it. All right. Finish the worksheet before the end of class today, please.